everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hannah, and today we are going to be starting a reading vlog that I've been putting off for a really long time. And if you saw the title, that is reading Dark Academia books. I have the three quintessential Dark Academia books, or at least in my experience watching BookTube and TikTok videos, like everybody talks about these as being the main Dark Academia that you need to read. So we have If We Were Villains, The Secret History, and In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I've had these on my TBR for quite a while now and haven't gotten to them. So I really want to prioritize reading these this weekend. My boyfriend is away for the weekend, so I really have nothing to divert my attention. I don't want to say distract because I love spending time with him. Divert my attention, and I think that I could probably, hopefully, get through these in the next 2 days. It is a Saturday currently. I did already start The Secret History. I listened to some of this on an audiobook, and I'm only like 68 pages into it. I think, hopefully, I'll have a little bit more luck reading this physically because of listening to the audiobook. It's a very meandering story, maybe. The plot is definitely more social dynamics heavy and all of these different things that they sort of go to, and it kind of is easy for my mind to wander while listening to the audiobook because it's not a super intense plot line. So I'm hoping that reading it physically, I'll be able to pay a little bit more attention. This is the biggest one in the group, so I'm definitely glad that we're starting out with this one. I've also heard people say that this one's a little bit harder to get into. I'm starting to understand a little bit why. But yeah, I'm really excited about these. I've always wanted to read these in the fall time because they just kind of give off fall vibes, but there are so many other books that I love reading around that time of year too that I never end up getting to these. And then I went, you know what? School starts back up in January as well. The night is starting much earlier, so it gives those vibes, getting to some candles when it gets dark out and just gloomy, and I think that gives Dark Academia as well. So we're gonna jump into these today. I'm very excited for that. I will also address the fact that I still have Christmas decorations up. I feel like most people are taking them down by now. Yes, I still have them up. They will probably still be up until close to the end of January because I love the way they make me feel. They're happy. I love the lights. It's cozy. So yeah, just, I don't know. Doesn't really matter, but I felt like I needed to address it anyway. But yeah, so we're going to start this. I do have a nail appointment. I said I didn't have a lot to divert me, but I do have a couple things that I need to get done this weekend, like the gym and my nail appointment. My nail appointment is actually in half an hour. So we will see if I can find a Kindle version of any of these to start while I'm there. If not, I'll just read them when I get back and update you then. So I guess maybe I should give a little bit more of a synopsis for this one. This says, under the influence of a charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at a New England college discover a way of thought and life a world away from their banal contemporaries. But their search for the transcendent leads them to a dangerous path beyond human construction of morality. So, I think I know one of the things that happens in here because they say it really early on, like in the epilogue. Or epilogue. That's the end of the book. In the prologue, I think they mention it, so we'll see before I go spoiling like a huge plot point here. Yeah, they mention it within the first 2 paragraphs that they're hiding a body. So I don't know if it's somebody in their inner circle that ends up dead or somebody on the outskirts, but somebody ends up dead through the course of this, and I suppose this is sort of explaining how they get to that point. So far, this is following a young man who joins this academy or college, whatever, and he wants to study Greek. I think it's Greek, classical Greek. But the professor that teaches that course is very strict on who he allows in his class, and he's originally told that he can't. He finds his way into this group of students that is part of the class, and he ends up eventually getting accepted into the class and finds out that this professor kind of controls everything that you do at the school, to include the classes that you take. He's one of the only instructors that they're going to have. And you can tell right off the bat that this is a very controlling and like toxic situation that they found themselves in, but they are so ambitious with their learning that the students don't really seem to mind. They put it aside because they think it'll be worth it. So of course, that once you start putting yourself in control of one person, it can very quickly spiral into things that you don't want. You can be manipulated very easily. So I am intrigued to get to that point. I think it's just the setup for it is probably going to take a while, which it makes sense. You have to have a build up to them being this susceptible to this teacher, which I'm assuming is what's going to happen. But anyway, I will check back in with you later. I'm going to stop rambling. So I finished my nail appointment and my gym session. These are the nails. They're actually such a cool color. They kind of like change depending on what the lighting is. Anyway, not important. I did find a Kindle version of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So I've been reading that while I had my nail appointment and while I was walking on the treadmill. It was a mistake because now I have two separate books going that have similar construction, at least in the beginning, where it's a bunch of college students that went to these elite, or at least semi-elite in their brain, universities, and somebody ended up dead from their friend group. So I have two stories going that are very, very similar. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit more sucked into In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So that was definitely a mistake. But from now on, I'm going to be going back to The Secret History. I'm going to listen to the audiobook on my way home and jump right into that once I get home. So I won't really talk too much about In My Dreams I Hold a Knife right now until I actually get into that one. But I thought it was kind of funny that I decided to do this to myself. I didn't realize just how similar their plot lines were going to be. I don't think I really knew anything about the premise for the second one. So yeah, that was a little bit of a mistake, but is what it is. I now have no plans for the rest of the day. I checked off all of my to-do things. It was just, I had plans to do a really chill weekend. So I'm pretty excited to get into reading. It's also like rainy out, so perfect vibes for a Dark Academia reading session. The sense of entitlement in this book is absolutely astounding. Like, really, truly, just such pretentious characters that think that if they do something wrong while they're while they're attempting to get some higher knowledge or do something like really profound that only they think is profound because everybody else will look at them like they're idiots for trying this, that they think that it's justified and it's okay, it's not a big deal, and we shouldn't own up to it. And oh my god, they're just so great at like excusing bad behavior, and it's insane. Like, it's actually crazy. And I don't, obviously I'm speaking a little bit in riddles because I don't want to like give away what's going on right now, but just wild. It's just wild and maddening. It's definitely maddening because I think I already said in the beginning of this, like, these characters are for the most part rich, except for the guy narrating this. He is not, so he doesn't really fit in with any of these people, but he's desperately trying to. So you get all of these pretentious characters that are like, oh yeah, like we have money and we go to this good school and, you know, we're a lot better than all these people that live in Vermont. And it's like, okay. And obviously you're supposed to dislike them for those reasons, but it's just a wild mentality. It's a wild mentality that really calls into question a lot of different court cases that I can think of within the past like decade, where young, typically white men in college or outside of college with like a promising future gets to do something absolutely horrific and they get away with it because of all this. And like, this is set way before all that, but like, the mentality existed then, it exists now, and it's just sad that we have yet to move away from that mentality where it's like, no, we have promise and future, and so therefore we get to be treated differently and forgiven for egregious crimes, pretty much. Like, anyway, yeah, not really enjoying the ego that's in this book, but I understand the point of it, I think. I don't know, maybe I don't. Maybe I'm missing the entire point. But anyway, I'm 176 pages into it, and it's at least picking up a little bit, if you hadn't noticed. This is starting to drag a little bit, unfortunately. Like, we had a reveal at one point that was somewhat surprising because it wasn't what I had expected. Like, it's not something that's really mentioned in the plot description on the back of the book or like in the prologue. I'm like, okay, this could get really interesting. And then we spent like 100-something pages dealing with the consequences of that, and they had another poor choice. Now we're dealing with that, and it just, for some odd reason, is reminding me of reading what is this? Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. Like, that's what it's reminding me of, where it's just a rambling long story about committing this certain crime and what the punishment is. And like, In that one, it's like the guilt that eats away at you and like it never leaves you alone and this, that, and the third. Like that's what this is reading like, but with a lot more characters that really don't have a lot going for them other than they're pretentious and they're annoying. And that's about it. Like I don't know, you feel like you don't know a lot about some of the characters. Henry, the one main character, he's definitely the worst. He's the most pretentious and like the leader of this little group. And then yeah, the rest of them, like, you just don't get a lot with them. There's one female in this group and she feels like she's a very stereotypical female. I don't know. I'm gonna finish it because I'm like 316 pages in at this point, and I don't want to DNF it, but like, yeah, this is really boring and I'm really hoping that the other two books are gonna be a little bit more entertaining than this. Not even entertaining, just better, more well written. Like I don't need anything like super ridiculous and I don't know. Entertaining was not the right word, but like captivating. Maybe captivating is the right word, but anyway, hopefully. So it's the next day. I did end up finishing The Secret History before I went to bed last night. I just stopped talking about it because there really wasn't much that I could talk about for this one. It's like 550 something pages of just nothing for the most part. I really went into this with, I guess, preconceived expectations, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but like I really thought that the way this story was setting up, that the professor was going to have a much heavier hand in everything that ended up happening, and I think that would have been such a more like fascinating premise of these students that are just completely taken over by a professor that has like all these little nefarious things that he's leading them towards, and sort of seeing the way that they fall into that and end up doing things that they wouldn't ever have done in a quest to make him respect them or, you know, like just endear themselves to this person that they look up to. And that's not at all what was happening. So if there's a book that does that, please let me know. But yeah, I really thought he was going to play a much heavier role in this in some way, if not that way, and that was just not really the case. I think the attempts to highlight the potential downfalls of sort of coveting what other people have and vying for this aesthetic life, I've been seeing that as like something. I was reading reviews and everything, and everybody's like, oh, she really goes into like aestheticism and reaching for that, and what like it can look like if you like try too hard for it and you start throwing away your morality. Like, yeah, these characters did that. I don't really know where the aesthetic life thing is coming from, but you know, we'll roll with it. Maybe I missed something that I was supposed to gather from this, but it definitely does highlight the downfalls of striving so hard to be something that you're not, that you start throwing away things like morality and good decision making. And like, there was no reason in my brain that some of these characters should ever have stayed in each other's orbit. And I really don't understand specifically why. I think his name is Richard, maybe. The person narrating the story, I don't understand why he stuck around these characters for so long. Like, he wanted to be them, but I just don't think they gave him enough for him to stay once he found out everything that was going on. At least not in my brain. I would have been like, nope, I'm good, bye. So yeah, 2-star read. Didn't really enjoy that one all that much. Then, like I said, I did start In My Dreams I Hold a Knife while I was at the gym and my nail appointment yesterday. So I got like 56 pages into it reading on my Kindle, and I didn't really know One Unsolved Murder. Okay, it says it on the back, but like I completely either forgot or didn't know that that was part of the premise. So I'm excited about this one. It's six friends going back to their college reunion 10 years after graduation. The narrator for this is a woman named Jessica Miller. She's planned her triumphant return to Southern Elite Duquesne, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, University, down to the envious whispers that are sure to follow in her wake. Everyone is going to see the girl she wants them to see, confident, beautiful, and different, not the girl she was when she left campus, back when Heather Selby's murder fractured everything, including the tight bond linking the six friends she'd been closest to since freshman year. But not everybody's ready to move on. Not everyone left Duquesne 10 years ago, and not everyone can let Heather's murder go unsolved. Someone's determined to trap the real killer to make the guilty pay. When the six friends are united, they will be forced to confront what happened that night and the year's worth of secrets they would do anything to keep hidden. Told in a racing dual timeline with a dark campus setting and a darker look at friendship, love, obsession, and ambition, in my dreams I hold a knife as an addictive, propulsive read you won't be able to put down. I will say, it does go back and forth in dual timeline, which I personally really enjoy, especially in things like that, like this type of setting where there's like a little bit of a mystery element, the intrigue and everything. I feel like if it's done right, dual timeline can really amplify that. So I was enjoying that yesterday, getting to see the way that these six friends were when they first started college, how they met, what that dynamic looked like, and then seeing it again once they're at this reunion and seeing the way things have potentially devolved, evolved, what have you, and wondering what happened in the middle. Obviously, you know, part of what happened in the middle, but there's going to be more than that, like what led up to this, what happened after the murder, all of these different things. So I was enjoying it. I enjoyed these characters a lot more. I really think I'm going to enjoy this one a little bit more than I did with The Secret History. So we're gonna get into this one and see what we think. I'm loving this so far. These characters are, or at least Jessica, is very toxic. The things that she does in order to fit in, even like when she was younger and then in college, and now the one character calls her a sociopath because she's willing to do whatever it takes. I think that's a little extreme, but she definitely goes a little bit beyond what most people would in an effort to get this image that she thinks is perfect. And the bizarre thing is, I don't think anybody else thinks of her that way. It is definitely a self-imposed status, or lack thereof, that she has put on herself. And it's so just like I said, toxic and juicy reading it. And you can't help but go, what are you going to do next? Especially in light of the fact that somebody was murdered and you're not really sure who did it. It's definitely not hard to picture her as the culprit for that. So I'm really excited to get to that part. I am always amazed reading these how much drugs is very prevalent in all of these students' lives. I don't know if I just missed something in college, but I didn't think it was like that big of a thing. But in the other book and in this book, like, everybody's doing drugs and everybody thinks that it's completely normal. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Like, that part surprises me. And then of course, like, you get the toxic not toxic parents, but like, they don't have good relationships with their parents, and that always plays a role into this and everything. I don't know. I feel like this writing is much more accessible as well. And there's nothing wrong with having the like prose style that The Secret History has. Like, there's a place and a time for it, but it felt like that was kind of covering up for a lack of everything else. And this one, I'm enjoying how accessible it is and how much I actually like the characters, because they all are different and I can already see distinctions in each of them that the other book didn't have. I shouldn't compare the two, but like, just coming off the heels of that one and how similar some of the storyline is, it's really hard not to do that. But yeah, I'm enjoying this one so much more. I just went outside and started my car to warm it up. I'm going to be going to the gym. It was sunny this morning, very sunny. I just went upstairs to change and saw that I had like this, we were having a random snow squall where it was just very, very windy and a crap ton of snow, which was very unexpected. And now it's sunny again. So in the span of like 5 minutes, if that. very, very bizarre weather that we're having. But yeah, I'm actually like physically prying myself away from this book to go to the gym right now, even though I really, 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 really want to keep reading this. Like, I'm loving this. I'm loving the drama. I'm loving that loving the way the story is told in the then now timeline, but it's not like the past timeline is necessarily in sequential order. You'll jump back in time and it'll be freshman year or senior year and then junior year. Like, it goes all over the place, which makes it even more convoluted. So many secrets and just toxic things going on in this friend group that a lot of them didn't know about. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Like, maybe I'm a toxic person for liking this. I don't really know, but I'm really eating this up, and I still don't know who I think is responsible for this crime. Not really sure yet, but it's also really sad because, like, you read this and you're like, if you guys would just put aside what you think everybody else's expectations are for you and put aside this perfection thing, you'd be a lot happier. Like, it seems like none of these characters are truly happy because they're so rooted in trying to fit everybody else's mold for them. It's not actually what they want. And, like, obviously that's not a new concept or a new sort of theme for things, but it's actually really sad reading this where it's like, are any of you happy? Because I don't think any of you actually are. So, but yeah, we're prying ourselves away from this. I'm at page 220. There's like, I think it's only 314 pages or something like that. Yeah, so only 100 pages left. It is available on audio, so I will probably end up listening to it on the way to the gym. But at least I'm getting myself to the gym like I need to do, and not just sitting here binging the rest of that. Just got back from the gym, and I was listening to the audiobook on the way there and the way back, and reading on my Kindle between sets because I couldn't not. And I am 302 pages in. There's 315 pages, and I was just sitting in my car. I was just gonna sit there and listen to the end of this, and then I was like, I think it seems like we're hinting at something else that's gonna happen. And I just decided I was gonna come in here and read the rest on camera in case it's something crazy, just to see what my reaction is. I started to have an inkling, just an inkling, like right before I read the like final little tidbit, little twist there that I thought was coming. I'm obsessed with this book. This is a 5-star read. Like, I love this so much. Really does truly just encapsulate the dangers of being obsessive and like striving towards a perfection that you can never get to. And obviously these are extreme. Like, people that strive for these things don't always go to the extreme lengths that people in like these books do, but some do. And like, it's just so, it shows that. And like I said, I loved all the different characters in here. I felt like they were well-rounded, very separate from each other, but you can kind of see the way like this hive mentality, this collective mentality worked for them while they were in college together. And I think it also just shows like kind of the way that college can be such a closed off experience for so many people where the rest of the world doesn't exist and you're living in your own little hierarchy, your own little bubble, and it feels all consuming and just like the most vital, important thing in your life when it's not. But it feels that way when you're in it. And yeah, I love this book so much. Okay, so yeah, I am going to go shower now and eat some food because I need food and I'm gross after the gym. So we're gonna go do that, and then once I'm done with that, I will come back and start the third and final book for this video. Oh my god, that was such a good book. I warned you guys that I was taking a shower, so should have expected that this was the jump scare that you were going to get. But we are officially starting If We Were Villains. The only thing I really know about this is that it has a lot of Shakespeare references. I think that they are actors. Let's see, enter the players. There were 7 of us then, 7 bright young things with wide, precious futures ahead of us. Until that year, we saw no farther than the books in front of our faces. On the day Oliver Marks is released from jail, the man who put him there is waiting at the door. Detective Colborne wants to know the truth, and after 10 years, Oliver is finally ready to tell it. A decade ago, Oliver is one of the 7 young Shakespearean actors at the Delacour Classical Conservatory, a place of keen ambition and fierce competition. In the secluded world of firelight and leather-bound books, Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off. Hero, villain, tyrant, tempest, ingenue, I don't know how to pronounce that, and extra. But in their 4th and final year, good-natured rivalries turn ugly, and on opening night, real violence invades the students' world of make-believe. In the morning, the 4th years find themselves facing their own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police, each other, and themselves that they're innocent. See, this sounds like I still would consider In My Dreams I Hold on Knife to be dark academia, but it wasn't as heavy on that one as like even The Secret History, because it was much more centered around the sort of mystery that was going on, and it felt like the academics were a little less talked about. This feels like it's going to be really right back in that because of all the Shakespearean references that get put in here and just like the setting that they're in and everything like that. So I think this, along with The Secret History, is going to give me a better indication if I like this style of reading. Not that that diminishes In My Dreams I Hold a Knife at all in my brain, but I just feel like it is a slightly more suspense-driven, and the academics just take a little bit more of a backseat. I don't know how to explain that other than that, but yeah, we're gonna start this and see how this one goes and whether or not I can finish it tonight. Okay, so I'm like 52 pages into this, and whoever said heavy on the Shakespeare, very accurate. I'm sure everybody says that when they're talking about this book. It's very true. They quote a lot of the lines in here. I think what makes this fun, though, is that you can see these characters deeply immersing themselves into this story to the point that, like, they get in full-on arguments in a class and start taking personally the arguments that they're making about the play. So it's supposed to be, like, super subjective, talking about these plays and everything like that, but the characters start taking on the roles of the people that they're assigned to, and whenever somebody starts making an argument about them, they start taking it super, like, deeply personal, and they think that you're talking about them. And sometimes it's meant they're attacking people that way too. Like, it's just the lines are getting extremely blurred, and I think that's what this story's meant to do. I think it's setting up to sort of showcase that, like, what happens when you start to lose perspective and everything. So I'm enjoying that aspect of it, but it's not like a super slow-paced book. Or at least moving quickly through time and everything, and it feels like each scene is moving relatively fast, so I'm appreciating that, but it's definitely still like in the setting up phases of the story. So it is now Monday, and I know I said I was going to try to finish this within the weekend, but I think we're just gonna go today and see if I can end up finishing this one. I think that I probably can. I have a decent amount of time before I have to go into work tonight, which I actually wasn't anticipating, which is why I was planning on only keeping this to the weekend. Anyway, I'm 158 pages into If We Were Villains, and these characters, I can picture them being very insufferable to some people because they talk using quotes and lines from Shakespearean plays. Like, it's just completely normal to throw those into everyday sentences and conversations, and they see nothing wrong with it. Like, they're doing it in all seriousness, which is very odd. And like I said, could be considered very insufferable to people because it's rather pretentious, and I can see that being annoying. I, however, am not really super annoyed by them. I'm not super enamored with this story either. It's just I'm curious to see where it ends up going. Right now, I'm not, like I said, I'm in the middle ground. I'm in a middle ground. It's definitely a middle ground between the other two books that I've read at this point. I think I'm just happy that it's not The Secret History, which sounds terrible. So yeah, 158 pages out of like 350 something. So still have about 200 pages to go, but I think we can finish this if I actually like sit down and really try to concentrate a little bit more than I have been. Like yesterday, I just started feeling very scatterbrained, and I wasn't really concentrating on this at the end of the day. So I think today we can do it, and we'll see where this one falls in the ranking. I'm fairly confident I know where this one's gonna fall in the ranking, but you never know. It could completely drop off and somehow be worse than The Secret History. We'll find out. I decided it's just easier to talk
after like each act in here. It's like broken up into acts and then scenes within the acts instead of chapters, whatever. There's 5 of them, so I figured I would just comment after each one. So I just finished Act 3, I think. I'm about to start Act 4, yeah. And I gotta say, I appreciate the fact that these characters, yeah, they chose to do something really bad, and I'm not dismissing that at all, but they are at the very least upset about it. Like, they feel badly. They have guilt. They don't act like the characters in The Secret History, where it's like, oh yeah, we did this, but like, it's okay because of this, and because we're great people, and because we're like higher up than the rest of the people in this town and this state and whatever. They actually act like humans who feel guilty and feel bad about everything. So I'm appreciating that. We're getting some new not character dynamics, like group dynamics going on, which I didn't expect, but I feel like a lot of what happened is sort of driving this shift throughout the entire group, and I'm not really sure where they're going with some of it, but I have a feeling that the shifting is part of what might ultimately become their downfall, but I don't really know. This is just me guessing and assuming, and we all know how that goes, especially in a book. But I'm about to start the 4th part. Like I said, there's 5, so only about 100 pages left. Finally finished If We Were Villains. Get rid of that, I finished it on my Kindle. And I don't really know how I feel about the way that this one wrapped up. It, I guess, felt a little predictable near the end just because of reading the other ones. So maybe if I hadn't read all 3 of these back to back, things would have felt a little bit less predictable. I don't really know. I think the only thing that happened near the end that I was not 100% sure about is the epilogue, because there's a large chunk of text from a Shakespearean play that's very important in that, and definitely like has a message in it that like I personally don't know that Shakespearean play, and I don't know what the meaning of it is, and I don't know if I'm just like overthinking it or not. It really, I suppose in the end, doesn't matter all that much. But yeah, I'm still feeling very mid about this one. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't outstanding, it was good. It was okay. I'm glad that I read it. So yeah, all 3 finally done, which I'm very excited about because I've had these on my TBR for a very, very long time. Obviously, we can all guess what the ranking is. Least favorite is The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and then If We Were Villains right in the middle, which sums up my feelings for it, and then my favorite, In My Dreams. I hold a knife because I still am obsessed with the way that the story went. So I am very happy that I got through all of these, and yeah, I think that's about it for this reading vlog. Thank you so much for watching another one, and I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye.